Life as Ceremony shares personal stories, interviews with inspirational souls, and practical wisdom to help you reconnect with yourself and spirituality. Welcome back to another episode of Life as Ceremony. Today we have Amie Seier joining us. She's an entrepreneur and the founder and owner of a very special and unique boutique fitness studio in Winnipeg called The Community. Thanks for joining us today, Amie. She's
Hello.
smiling.
I'm looking
Okay.
nice.
Are you ready for some this or that questions?
I am, yeah. Hit me.
Okay. Cozy night in or spontaneous adventure?
Spontaneous adventure.
Ooh. What was your last spontaneous adventure?
Oh God. Oh man. You know what? It was planned, but it felt very spontaneous to me, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna go. I went to a Taylor Swift cover show with my boyfriend and his 11-year-old daughter.
That's
That
amazing. I
was very
love
much out of
that.
like my realm.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Running or spinning?
Running.
Running. Okay.
hmm
Full marathon or half marathon?
Full.
What?
I know, I know. I feel like I've like if you asked me these questions 6 months ago, it'd be different, but carry on.
Wow. Yeah. When was your last full marathon and when's your next one?
Vancouver, I did Vancouver was my first one. That was a month ago. I did it on May 4th, I think, in
Yeah.
Vancouver, and it was very fun. Fun. Doing air quotes.
She's
And
like
then
still crying, like
I
emotion. Yeah.
I, I like, and I did it, and I think the reason why it was fun was because how I've approached halves in the past, like the past few years, is that I've tried to go for a time. And this one, I was like, I'm just going for like to see what it's gonna be like as an experience, like what's gonna happen to my body, what like just a learning experience. Because I got into Chicago, the full marathon in Chicago, it's a lottery, and I got in for October. So now I was like at the like last in the winter time, like before like, I think December, I was like, I've got to make a plan now. So that was like I got to get a full out of the way. So I did that. And that's like so I actually quite enjoyed the experience like a lot because it was so different than like kill like I died in a different way. Like you know what I can't explain it. I think I've just had some really painful halves and like
Hmm.
in a different way of pain. Like so I feel like the full was like painful, but it was like better than I expected it to be.
Awesome. Great. Well, I'll be cheering
Mhm.
for you in the Chicago. I can't
Thank
wait.
you.
Right on.
Ugh.
Sweet or savory foods?
Sweet or savory? I say savory, but I know deep down I'm sweet. I
Mm.
like sweet foods. Yeah.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs. I think I've
It's
only
easy.
had one cat person on the podcast so far, and
I
that's
mean,
not intentional. Like I know people like think that I like vet people. Like if you don't choose dogs, like you can't come on Life of Ceremony. But you can. Like I'm open to cat people. I love all animals, but I just like I've had one cat person.
you know what? They can't be trusted. If you say you're a cat person, you can't be trusted. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I think cats are fine. You know what? I'm biased because I think my parents just never were into cats.
Mhm.
And so then I never grew up with cats. And then the cat experiences that I have that have stayed with me are traumatic ones because they are like, they're not my personality. And I don't know, this is going to go on a tangent a little bit, which I knew you would expect. But like, I don't know if you are on TikTok. Do you go on TikTok ever?
I don't have TikTok, but I
Okay.
love when people send me videos. Like I have the app downloaded just for when friends
Okay.
text me a link for a video I should watch.
So I've been single like for 3 years now, and like I get like tons of dating stuff. Like I'm not single now, but I was. But like a lot of things are like, oh, black cat energy, be a female with black cat energy. I am not a black cat energy girl. So I was like, I don't know why I'm being served this, but I was like, so what? Golden retriever women are just supposed to die alone? Like I was like, what is the internet trying to tell me? Like this is not helpful advice. Like I'm not going to change who I am. Like I'm a golden retriever woman, and any guy that says he's into a golden retriever woman, do not trust him either. Like, so I was like, whatever, like, whatever we're classifying things are right now, like, I don't want to be classified or get involved in this mix. So I do like dogs, but I'm coming around to cats, is the long
Okay.
story.
This isn't on the list I have for you, but what kind of household pet am I?
Ah, you're for sure a dog, for sure.
But what kind?
Oh, oh, you're for sure a doodle.
A doodle. I'm a
Oh
doodle.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have doodle energy. Like a
yeah,
little bougie, but like still likes to play fetch and go in the mud. Yeah.
yeah. Like
I
you're
think that's
fun, but
accurate.
you're really pretty,
Really
and people
pretty,
love
doesn't
you.
shed, still loves
People
to go
are
on a
drawn to
hike.
you.
Yeah.
Like please. But I find like doodles are like, I am special. Like, you know what I mean? And I find that you are special. Like you're like the one person that you're like, I want to hang out with you so bad, but you're like, oh, maybe.
I want to hang out with you so bad. And I'm like, maybe. Oh
Yeah.
my God, Amy, that's so funny. I also have to, I have to share with listeners something about Chief. So Chief is my dog, my pride and joy. If you don't
Mm.
follow me on Instagram, then you should because I post mostly about my dog on my stories. And you would never know this by looking at Chief. You might know this because I might have told you. Chief is part poodle. Isn't that unreal? Like he
Well,
actually is. Yeah, go ahead.
I find it incredibly endearing that you own like a mutt.
Yeah,
Like,
of
you know what I
course.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of like your allure. I'm like, of course she owns like a non-breed dog because
Always.
you're just a good person. Like, you know what I mean?
Thanks,
I'm
Amy.
a
You're
bad
welcome
person.
back
I
on
will
Life
go
as
on
Ceremony.
Kijiji and I will find a designer dog. Like, I'm sorry. I was like, I've done that in the past and I like, but now I've banned myself from getting dogs, but that's a whole other story.
Okay, fair enough. It's a story for off the podcast
Off
later.
the podcast story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think I've always like volunteered for animal rescues. And
yeah.
so I just always felt like I will always, yeah, like rescue an animal. And Chief, it's just so funny. We called him the unshedding wonder because here we are, like
Mm.
rescued this puppy, black and beige colored. We had no idea what he was going to look like. We had no idea how big he was going to grow. We had no idea about anything. And we got him DNA tested, and his top three breeds were German Shepherd, Husky, and Poodle. So I don't know where this poodle in northern Manitoba is like hopping
They're
around,
everywhere.
but
Manitobans, River Heights, they love their poodles. Their
okay.
doodles in River Heights.
No, but
That's
I
where I'm
meant
pretty sure they were first come from. Like a doodle comes from River
Manitoba.
Heights.
Okay. I mean, oh, okay.
But we just so many of them
That's
there.
where they come from. That's where they originate. That's where they have
Yeah.
their own like community. No, but Chief is like from like a northern community in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Like, what's a
Hmm.
poodle doing up like northern,
I
like
don't
north of
know.
River Heights, Amy, like north of Winnipeg,
Oh,
like
oh, I see. But I don't know. I feel like that's part of your allure, though. I feel like that's like part of again, like what makes you you. Like I just like I think that that's like I don't know. I love that about people. I love like their little stories and what makes them them. And I'm like,
oh,
of
thank
course.
you. I'm so glad I asked you what kind of dog I am. Okay, last question for you.
Mhm.
What is your favorite quote or words to live by?
Oh, I have so many. I have so many. It usually goes by like um the feel like the season I'm in. But I think the one I've probably said the most since opening the gym and like the pandemic has been a Wayne Dyer quote that we don't have enough information to be pessimistic.
Mm.
So that's a good one. But the one that I have that is top of mind right now that I really like that I saw maybe a couple days ago is everyone everyone's jealous or like is envious of your situation, but they're not jealous of the path that it took you to get there. So
Hmm.
I was like
I love
that
that.
is a nice one too. So I've been like noodling on that one a little bit. But yeah, the one I go back to often, especially when times are hard, like when things get difficult, I'm like, I don't have enough information to be pessimistic. I don't have enough information to be pessimistic. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wayne
Amazing.
Dyer.
Thank you. I
He's a
love
man.
those quotes. Gonna add them to my notes on my phone. Really good ones. Thanks for sharing
Hmm.
them with us.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah. So you own a unique boutique fitness studio in Winnipeg
Hmm.
called The Community. What led you to opening the community and tell us a bit about your journey?
Sure. Yeah. So I opened a gym in 2019, but I had lived in Calgary in 2013. I'd moved to Calgary by myself. I followed like a dream job at the time, and the dream job didn't work out. But while I was there, I started going to a spin studio. Like I saw that there was like spin studios that were at that time, like that didn't really exist. Like you would go to like Shapes and take a spin class or whatever. But there was standalone spin studios similar to like Soul Cycle in the US that had opened in Calgary. And I was like, you know what? I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do and who I was after university and like becoming a quote unquote adult. And I was like, I had free time and I had like I could find hobbies. So I was like, oh, I should do triathlon. And I like started to like really like fitness and try a whole bunch of things. I'd tried a half marathon, like I tried a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like really just searching for something, but I didn't have a road bike. So I thought it would be very funny if I started teaching spin classes to use that money to put towards buying a bicycle. Like I bike to bike. Like I thought that was funny and clever. So I got my like group fitness teaching certification in Calgary. And then I started working for like sweat exchanging or like volunteering for a spin studio in Calgary that was a couple blocks away from my apartment. And I just fell in love with it. Like I was like the first time I went into the spin class, it was dark and they were doing like movements on the bike. And I was like, this is so dumb. I was like, this is like the dumbest thing. Like, cause I'm a serious biker. Like, I was like, why would anyone like dance on a bike? Like, this is like ridiculous. And why are we in the dark? Like, I was like super judgmental, but that was the only place that was hiring. And I'm like, you know what? I'll keep trying. And like, I think that's the thing about spin class is that those who know, and like you come to enough, you're like, all right, I get this. And then you start like getting the choreography. And I really loved the coaches that worked there and like the people. And I was like, wow, like I had one coach named Mel, shout out Mel. She's in Kingston now. She's awesome. She would stay after her classes and like teach me how to teach. And I was like, this is amazing. Like I just fell in love with that. And I remember like that's where things kind of started. I would go to like 3 spin classes in a row and then I'd come home, which was really weird at the time. Like this is
Wait,
2013. I'd go do
what do you mean in a row?
like I
All
do 3 different classes. Like I'd
in
spend
one
like three
day?
hours. Yeah. I mean, I teach that now, Sam.
That's
Like, I
just
was like, but like back in
crazy.
2013, that was preposterous. Like that was craziness. And I get home and I love burritos. So that's something else like that's known about me. I would buy a burrito and then I'd sit and my roommate was exactly opposite me. She was like, what did you do? And I was like, no, I'm crazy. She would like to stay home and like watch like bad television and I'd be like at a spin studio for 3 hours. But anyway, I moved back home and the spin studio didn't exist in Winnipeg yet. And I was like, do I open one? Do I not open one? And like I was 25 at the time, so I felt really young. And so I was like, no, I don't have the resources. I don't know what I'm doing. I've barely taught spin. So a couple other people opened spin studios in Winnipeg. They were the first ones. And I worked for one of them and it was fun. I had a good time and it was really fun to be part of like uh something new to the city and watching like Winnipeggers adopt that. But I knew something was missing of my experience that I had in Calgary, and that was that I wanted to come to a studio after work that I felt like I could see friends at, that I felt like could see familiar faces, want to hang out in, like all that kind of stuff. I just felt like that was lacking. And so it became clear to me that I was like, I have to open my own thing. And I also at the time was working out all over Winnipeg. Like I was doing my cousin's boot camp, who you've worked with in the past. I was doing yoga classes, like not teaching them, I was taking them, and I was teaching spin classes. So I was driving more than I was working out in my city. And I was like, this is insane. I was like, there has to be there has to be a better way. So like thus the community was born. So I kind of started working on it in uh like in kind of like different, I don't know, pieces over like from 20 like 17 towards 2018. So yeah, and then we opened officially in 2019. Yeah. There's like
And
a
you
bunch of other stories around that too. They're crazy,
and
but
and
yeah.
I'm sure, yes, and I'm sure some of those stories will come to light in today's
Yeah.
conversation. But you just celebrated the community's 6th birthday.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
huge.
I think back to like other people that I was super inspired by, and not that Ali Maz probably listens to this podcast, but I was like definitely inspired by the district in Vancouver and like those types of things. Like I could see that other people were creating spaces that felt more than just like gyms or businesses, like a real like I obviously there's a term for it, a third space. Um, but yeah, I always knew that it was like clear to me that like the community was a place that like the main objective was never to work out. It was connection. So I and that's one of my core values. So I feel like that's centralized in like everything that I do. So yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
6 years.
I know.
Crazy.
And also, you had this idea 11 years ago.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like that ties into not only the quote you said of people like jealousy, they're not jealous about the journey, but they're jealous about like that end destination of where you are right now. And I just think that so many people are in this space where like not only are you celebrating the community's sixth birthday, but like this seed like was planted 11 years ago. Like this has been so much more than 6 years. And again, that's also when the doors open. And I do want to talk to you about the year leading up to the doors opening because we were on like this very
Yeah.
like special trip, I'll call it, that felt like quite pivotal in terms of the direction we went from there. And yeah, like I just want to remind people like sometimes our ideas or our inspirations or even like the things that we're supposed to birth or bring into the world like take time, nourish that
Mhm.
idea, like sit with it. Like for whatever reason, for you, it happened when it did at I think the exact right moment it was meant to versus when Amie was 25, you know?
Mhm. For sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah. 100%. Like it's like things happen. I mean it's all the cliches. Like things happen for a reason. They happen when they're supposed to. It doesn't make them easier and or better. It's just like how it unfolds, right? Like it's just
Mhm.
how it's supposed to be. Like I think that that's it. And sometimes when you're in the mud, you're like, really? Is this how it should be? But I believe that it is always for a reason, and it comes back
Mhm.
to that first quote. Like you don't have enough information to be pessimistic. Like around
Mhm.
the corner, there's you never know what could happen. So I feel like just like I also took a strength finding quiz this past year. Like it's like, have you heard of Clifton Strengths?
I think I've heard of it. I haven't done it though.
It's awesome. Like it's very much geared towards like your strengths. There's 32 strengths. And then how you fill out this form. It's not like Enneagram or anything like that. Like I'm 1 in 33 million. Like my sequence is 1 in 33 million. And what's interesting is Olivia, who's our GM at the gym, her number one strength of 32 is positivity as well. So mine's positivity, hers is positivity. That's not surprising. But what's interesting is how positivity manifests in each of us is unique because of our other 32 strengths and how they sequence.
Cool.
So, yeah, she's more of an empath, whereas I'm more of like an innovator. So like how it shows up, like she's really good at like one-on-one relationships, whereas I tend to live more like in the ether. And that's cool. Like I know that about myself. But it's just like it's interesting that you could have the same strength as somebody, but ultimately like how it manifests is just different based off of like your other strengths.
What's the name of the quiz?
It's called Clifton Strengths. So there's 32 of them. And then you like kind of really focus on your top five.
Cool.
And everyone has different strengths. And just because something isn't a strength doesn't mean that you're like bad at it. It just means it
Mhm.
doesn't like show up for you as readily. Like empathy, like I have empathy, obviously, but but other things come before it for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I have a lot of innovation and I really am like I'm really restorative. Like I really like fixing things. Like sometimes like I also don't like fixing things. I don't know. Like I don't like it, but I feel like I've had to. So it's just become a skill that I've had to kind of figure out. So that I've just adhered to now. But anyway, that doesn't really I don't know why we started talking about that, but
No, I think it's really helpful. I think that like people are probably taking notes right now. They're probably like Clifton Strengths, like go do
yeah.
this test. Like it's a helpful,
Oh, but
yeah.
I've gotten all of that because like 5 years ago, I was like, I need a really good therapist and I need a really good business coach. And even just like finding that took time. Like
Mhm.
both of those. Like it took a lot of like back and forth and like a lot of stuff. But I had a really good experience in a business coaching program called EOA. And that's where I kind of learned different things. It's like it's networking, it's like getting to know people. And I wouldn't say networking, it's just like building relationships with other people and other business owners and things like that, testing things out. Like trying out different therapists on a personal level, seeing what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And I think like a lot of people don't want to, like, I've spent thousands of dollars in this. Like, like these are not like these are not like when you look at business, like that's not, I'm not making money off of that. Like that's a sunk cost, but it isn't, because it's like the more it's taught me, the better my business has been, the better person I've been. Like the level of growth I've experienced in the last 3 years, like has been monumental because of like professionals that I've paid money to help. Like, and for a lot of them, like they're almost volunteering their time, like other business owners who, like, it's a peer-led group. So
Cool.
anyway, it's been a really cool experience, but that's where I learned about Clifton Strengths, and I learned about a lot of other cool business stuff. So yeah.
Are you still with that group today or with the same therapist today?
I am with a no. I've grew out of that group. So I you can join it for a max of 3 years. And then in order to qualify, I have to make a little bit more money with the business. So that's the next step. So yeah, we'll do that. And then with my therapist had a baby. But I also I was trying out EMDR and things like that. And then
Mhm.
I found a really bad EMDR therapist, and I messaged the owner of the therapy clinic, and I was like, this is a bad experience.
Mhm.
I'm paying a lot of money and I'm paying out of pocket. I help, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is
Yeah.
under your guidance. Like, I'm coming to this. And she's like, I have two other options. And then the other option she gave me, the other person, is phenomenal. Like, she is great.
Awesome.
So, like, we've really clicked. So I feel like I've been with her for a year now, and she's awesome. And not it like in EMDR, like that stuff's been good, but I would say like what's worked for me is like she's very blunt, and that's helpful. Like and everyone's style and thing is different, and yeah, it's just how you click with different people. So yeah.
And I am curious when you say
Mhm.
bad experience. I guess what comes to mind for me is like harm. And like, was it a harmful experience or what
Well,
made it
she answered
bad?
a phone call in the middle of our session. So like a personal phone
Okay.
call. And I was like, yo. And I was like, this isn't good. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I run a business. I have a certain level. Like, of course it's okay to make mistakes. But I was like, this seems like a pretty big one. I also like I also deal with groups. Like I'm in group service. Like so like I'm in the service industry. I deal with groups of people. I'm not one to one. And I think that if you are paying for a one-to-one service, like that's got to be like top notch in my opinion. Like I just felt like that wasn't the experience I
Mhm.
wanted. So, but I shout out to the owner of that therapy clinic to have like received my feedback and then been like, here's what I can do, like to resolve the issue and help you. And I was like, I appreciate that. So yeah.
Nice. So there was like repair in that way
Hmm.
that supported
Yes.
you on
Yeah.
your path. Cool. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. And yeah,
You're welcome.
yeah, that's wild to me to answer a personal phone call in the minute. Like I'm like I work from home. I like get upset when my husband's like making too much noise if he's like downstairs trying to like make himself lunch.
But different strokes for different folks. Like that could be like different experiences for different people. And I think that's why like you have to just try. Like you have
Yeah.
to try different things. Like you have to be willing to be like, oh, I'm gonna be because it's not just money, it's like the time that you invest in and explaining yourself and your life and la la la. So I think like I like you it all those things take time to build relationships with people. And like I think that it just like anything, it just has to be a really good fit, like people wise. And I also something I try to say regularly and I write down journaling is like today I will take nothing personally. Today I will not take this personally.
Walks out the door. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
So offended. But it's oh man, it's like
Yeah.
it happens. Like, like there's so many different personalities out there. There's so many different people that you come in contact with, and you have to like, and it's the hardest part is just recognizing like within yourself all those things, and when you're at your best, when you're not at your best, all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm. Yeah.
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 I'm really just going on tangents, which I knew was gonna happen, but
That's perfect. I feel like that's what people come to Life as Ceremony for. I often say it's just meant to be a coffee date between pals and people get to
Mhm.
listen. to listen in on it. And I also just think there's so much value and wisdom in conversations. We don't need to strive to make it anything in particular, but it's just two people getting together and talking about what they love or what they're passionate about or what they're just noticing in life. And there's a lot of value and wisdom in that. And I don't think that we need to, yeah, like try to derive or like create wisdom. Like I'm always so excited to hear what people take from a conversation. I've noticed this. I don't know if you've noticed this, like with even the classes that you run or the business that you run. And I'm just going to use this overall general term of like art. But like when we create art, like when you teach a class, when you have a conversation with someone, like we can think we know what people will receive from it or what our goal is that we hope they get out of it. But then people come back and say, that was amazing, or this is what I got out of it. And I like
Mhm.
didn't try for that. I didn't see it that way at all. And that's the thing about like creating art and putting it out there into the world is you have no idea how people are going to receive it. And that's also part of the magic of it. And
Mhm.
just got to throw it out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard though, because it's like it could go you could have a really positive like, I think it's just as much as it is for the audience is as it is as much it is for you. And,
Hmm.
like, I think that like, I'd be remiss not to say, and I think, like, everyone who, like, is in my industry and teaches group fitness, they get just as much out of it as the audience, right?
For
Like,
sure.
for me, I'm in a flow state, like, I'm connected, and I feel so, so grateful after the fact that I get to do that, and, like, I mean, I've had a few experiences, of course, that I've been like, "This is not in alignment with me anymore," and, like, "This didn't feel like the most pleasurable experience, or it wasn't great." But I think ultimately, I think that's, like, what it is. It's a bit of a teacher. It's gonna push you in a different direction. You're, like, constantly evolving. Like, I like, that's the sense of it. Like, change is continuous, it's constant, and I think that that is the point of when you're creating something you're just gonna always be evolving it. Like, you're always gonna be changing it. Like, it's gonna just be shifting, and you just have to be you just tune into it. How you tune
Hmm.
into that, I don't know. Usually, it takes me to a breaking point, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna do?" Like, and I think that that's very true. Like, I've been thinking about this and contemplating it a lot, is, like, how do I tune into myself, before life hits you over the head with it, right? Like, how can you tune into what is in alignment with you? And at like alignment, intention, those types of words, like I always felt very like because I'm just such a
Hmm.
I really feel like I'm a free flow person. Like I wouldn't call myself organized or straight to the point. Like those are things that like are not within my skill set. So when I hear words like that, I feel like very much like it's a visceral
Hmm.
response, especially in my 20s. But as I've grown, I think like I can define it in what that means for me and what works for me. And so like usually I come back to intention as a place of like um I am good. Like I always have good intentions. I'm just learning.
Hmm.
And I want to live in a world where most people are operating on that spectrum as well. So like
Hmm.
to me that's an intention means to me. When I think about an alignment, I try to tune into like I've always been very like I make decisions. I think my emotions really like and not in a bad way, like in emotions I feel things deeply. And I think a lot of people do. And I would let that guide me in my career and in my love life and things like that. And I think the work that I've done over the past 3 years is to be able to trust myself again, trust those things again, and come back to that and be like, okay, does this feel good for me? Why am I having this response? Honor that response and say, like, I know, and I surround myself with people like this. I will, and I'm attracted to people like this. I will go absolutely as hard as I possibly can. I am the cockroach, you cannot kill me. Like, I will work so hard, and I see that in other people, and I get, like, almost envious because 'cause I'm like, "Damn, I wish I could level up that way." Like, I wish I could work that hard because I know I'm working hard, but I'm like, "I could work harder. I could go harder." Like, you can't kill me, like but at a certain point, like, there's some things that you have to say to yourself, like, "Okay, where can I honor this shift and this change and be like, okay, let's reflect
Hmm.
upon that and see where this takes me in a different direction. Like, not be fearful of endings and
Mhm.
be able to like accept that those are a natural part of life, and that like, and I guess that's a really good segue because we wanted to talk. I'd mentioned this previous to the podcast, is that there's going to be seasons of heartbreak and healing. And like, I think lots of times we view loss, like heartbreak, as like loss, and loss as heartbreak. And I think that those things have to exist in the human experience, and how we move through them. There's not like a lot of tools out there or examples of that. And sometimes they're like very glorified.
Mhm.
Um, we can lose things and feel things that are not uh, like socially acceptable, I guess. Like for me, like divorce is a big one. Like if you're going through a divorce, like that's not something that you want to like shout from the rooftops and be like, I'm divorced. Like that's sad. Like that's hard. And it's not a death, and it's not those things that we can like open our hearts up to people. And I'm the type of person that like that's how I heal, that's how I move, that's how I process, is I share. Like I share that with the world. Like I speak to think. Like that's how I
Mhm.
move. And so to be in a season in my life a few times with either the gym or my personal life, I've had to do a lot of that healing work internally, and
Mhm.
carry that heartbreak internally, and deal with that on more of a personal level than outwardly to the world, right? And so I think that that's been a blessing because I've grown a lot through it. But I think that there's not a lot of people that talk about that. And I think that now that I'm in my mid 30s, still old, but like there's definite distinction I see in the people that I've met, that have gone through significant life trauma, whether it be like a business dissolving, like a loss of a major job, a divorce, a major loss of a parent, like all those things that happen to us, like that are heartbreaking. Like you could see the change in those people, and like you can connect with those people. And I don't know, like I think that like those things make us more resilient. And I think getting back to the point of resilience, like that's huge. Like, and I feel like I've always been a very resilient person, but I've been challenged in different ways. Like, and I think that how we build resilience is different for different seasons. This is me speaking to think, so that's why it is a bit of a tangent. But yeah. Anyway, questions?
Your tangents, your wisdom is always welcome. Tears are also welcome on Life is
Oh,
Ceremony.
I'm always crying.
Yeah.
Like I feel like since I ran this stupid marathon, I feel like my hormones have been like all wacky. You like my doctor said two things. Like I had the same doctor since I was born. Like, and then he finally retired when I was about probably like 25. And I like was like, no. But he said two things to me that has still stuck with me to this day.
Mm.
One, he was like, if you come off birth control, the major side effects is you will get pregnant. So I've always been scared. So I've been like, okay, I trust you. Two, run a half, don't run a full. A full is really hard on your body. And he said that to me when I ran my first full marathon when I was like maybe like 22. So
Full
like
half marathon.
a full marathon is not good for you. Like
Okay.
that's not a healthy activity.
Yes, but you just said you ran your first full marathon at 22.
Yeah. No, 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 no. I ran a half. So like he
Okay.
was like half is good, full, just don't do a full. And
Okay.
then so I did a full marathon recently, and I was like, "Oh my,
You get what he was saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
correct." So I was like, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
a lot like more emotional than I would normally be. So I
No.
feel like your body goes through the ringer and things like are all out of sorts.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I always appreciate your realness and your authenticity. Even just, again, we're talking about business or entrepreneurship or following your truth. And it's not always like sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, success. Like it's also hard. It's also heartbreak. It's also like just again your realness in balancing the challenges of what you might go through in your personal life. I can only imagine while simultaneously it's not like the doors to your business close when you have that to deal with or tend to. It's like in a
Mhm.
way I think of the spin room and the show must go on. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm also dealing with this in my personal life. And you spoke to like healing, like
Mhm.
this in this inner healing for yourself. And I am curious for you, what has helped you the most? What's helped you with healing? What's helped you with resilience? Obviously, it's different for everyone, but what's been most
Yeah.
good for you?
Um, Resilience, I think, is just something I've had for a long time. Like, I think I'm just a really resilient person. I think it's something my parents instilled in me. And that's a whole other fun thing you get to do in your 30s is like deconstruct like what your parents did to you and how they raised you. And then you're like, why am I like this? So like you get to go on that fun journey if you so choose, which I did. And I love my parents and I like can recognize that they're human, but I'm like, how did I end up this way? Like both good and bad. Like there's both positives and negatives to everything. So like, I think resiliency, like, is just something that is a muscle that I've just like exercised repeatedly. And
Mhm.
I think that sometimes I shut off like the discomfort. Like I'm that like I don't know if I can swear, but like
You
fuck
can
it.
swear.
Like yeah, like fuck like whatever. Like I could just fuck it, shove it away for now and do what needs to get done. Like Sam, I cannot tell you like the thing that I hate the most is
Yeah.
carrying boxes. Like I fucking hate carrying boxes. Like nothing aggravates me more than coming back from Costco and carrying boxes and like carrying merch boxes. Like I hate it. Like I don't know why, but like that's usually when I have like a little moment where I like, and there's different, like, you get bogged down by a lot of different things in the business. And like, you just have to recognize, okay, I don't like this. So, like, I'm going to just probably hire somebody to do that. Cause I was like, this is going to drain my spirit and I need to like not do that. And everyone's different. And so you just, but before I would just be like, fuck it, I'll just carry the boxes. Like, no one else is going to carry the boxes. I'll just carry the boxes. But
Mhm.
like, and I felt that way through a lot of things and you just make it through. But now you can be in a season where you're like, okay, do I really need to carry the boxes? Like, is that necessary? So, like, you can have a little bit more of that, like, foresight. Like, what is it that you can, like, I feel like resiliency is just the baseline for me. And then now after that, it's like, okay, how can I have a little bit more, um, like grace? And like, I kind of want to come back to something that I started working on 3 years ago simultaneously while I was going through a separation, I had worked with a therapist who had pointed out to me, FYI, like therapists that point things out to you, bless them because like I don't know. I don't know. Like
Should I be more blunt with people then? I,
I think but worse for me. I like it's like the show Shrinking. I was like, I just want him to tell me what my problems are. Like, I get that you have to get people there. And I
yeah.
get that it's a process, but like also there's some like stuff in being like, no, like telling like your client, like, no, this is what's happening. And you're like, uh. So like for me, my therapist was like guilt seems to really fuel you. And I was like, oh, absolutely. I do everything because I feel guilty. Like I do like, and then I most do something and then I feel guilty because I didn't do it. And then I do it and I feel guilty that I didn't do it. Like I was just living in that space permanently. And so the way she framed it was that like guilt has been a powerful tool for me and it sometimes helps, but it doesn't always have to help. And so I think like I started to dive in a little bit more into like self-compassion. And so I think like when it comes to resiliency, I think those two, like, I try to think of things as both true. Like this discomfort, this pain, like I can make it through this, but I can also be nice to myself while I do this. Right.
Mhm.
And so at like previous to like 3 years ago, I would operate under like leaders eat last. Uh, this is my fault. Like if this person's doing this thing bad or something bad is happening, it's my fault because I'm the leader. In my relationship, my personal relationships, I will take full accountability. I will fix this. It is my fault. Like I will own everything. Like and at a certain point, like you can't keep doing that. Like you can, but it will kill you. It's not a
Mhm.
fulfilling life. And like you could be resilient, you could do the hard things, but like I think it has to come with a level of like self-love. And I don't mean like take a hot bath, take a break, although I do need to do that. Although I'm scared of it, so it's a whole other topic. But like what I mean by self-love is like showing yourself compassion, being like, you know what, Amy, you are good at this. Like this isn't like, or you know what, Amy, you are a good partner, or you know what, Amy, you are a good daughter or you are a good business owner, whatever that is, acknowledging those things that you are good and that I am good at it and that this is just tough. Like this is just a hard thing to do and that it'll be okay. It's going to be fine. So, yeah, self-compassion,
Thank
helpful.
you for all of that. I love how we went on a journey from like what helps, and you're like, I just shove it the fuck away. And then we ended with self-compassion. I was also like waiting for the like, I'm like, what helps? And you're like, community. You're like, I just shove that shit away. I go stay the fuck down. I'm like, okay, we can go that direction too.
I
I love
I know
it.
that it's not healthy, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and I think that, like, when you're in a pinch, like, when you're like, shit's hit the fan, like, you're like, "Okay, like, I will disassociate." Like,
Yeah.
I disassociate, like, if you ask me how like, if I have to be honest, like, how
Yes.
I decompress, like, I had a really terrible Monday, and I was like and I asked ChatGPT, I was like, "Yo, here's my sitch." Like, and I was like, "I don't have really anyone to talk to." I was like, "Can't wait another 3 weeks to talk to my therapist because she costs like freaking $200." So I was
Yeah.
like, "Gotta wait for that." And I was like, "I don't wanna burden my partner with this." My mother's not that helpful, and my business coach is on like, you know what I mean? Not so I was like, "Where" I know
I'm
you, I
pointing at
know,
myself, and as
I
soon
know,
as Amy gives me this mic back, I'm gonna go on a riff about Chat GPT and then like
I know.
relying on your friends. But keep going, and
Yeah,
yeah,
correct. I know it's wrong. So I eventually I'm getting to that point. I was like, it's like it actually told me to reach out to friends, and I was like, chat. That's not what I'm trying to ask for right now. So I was like, I'm disassociating and watching Parks and Recreation and eating snacks because I was like, I have to do what you got to do. And so like, and that's fine. But previous Amy would feel like really guilty about that. I feel really bad about that, and it would kind of the second arrow like of it being like the first is like the pain, the second is feeling bad about the pain
yeah,
and like being hard on yourself about it. Like, so I think like acknowledging that I am a human, that I'm moving through like whatever season it is I'm doing. And I know that like coming back and being like asking myself, is this true? Like, I do feel alone, like I do, which is the irony of owning a business called the community. I do often experience those things. But I often have to ask myself, is this true? Because usually my emotions take me in a in a tangent and you're like like you're like all like it's all or nothing, right? You're like everything is a mess, everything sucks, everything's terrible, but then you're like, is that true? Like like and usually you can get a little bit deeper into like what it is because it comes down to two things, like either love or fear. And so lots of times like what is the fear behind this thinking or this response? And usually for lots of us it's well for me it's I'm getting old, I'm out of touch, like I I'm alone, like I have no friends. Like I wouldn't be alone forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like those types of things they come up, right? But you have to
mhm,
ask yourself, is that true? It's not. That's not true. That's just like a worst case scenario fear thinking, and you just have to sit with it and be acknowledge that it's okay to feel those things. It's human. So,
mhm.
yeah.
For anyone listening to this, if you are having a tough Monday, text or call a friend. Text or call a friend. And
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about that I am gonna use some of our time together to share it. But
Yeah.
before I do, I really need to highlight something so important that you said, because I was just kidding about like shoving it down. What you
Yeah.
touched on was so important, which I think like I hear so much like you embody this, like you learned. It's one thing to learn something or hear something, it's a different thing to integrate it, embody it, and understand it at a visceral level. And so much of what I see and what I hear in Amie today is the embodied self-compassion, not just like a cognitive understanding of what that term means, but to actually live it and feel compassion within the cells of your being for making the choices that you're making. Because we were making like jokes about dissociation and whatnot, and what you're highlighting, and I just really want to, yeah, like share it with listeners, is that there isn't this good, bad, right, or wrong. And if you beat
Hmm.
yourself up for dissociating, or however you're responding to whatever situation you're faced with in life, if you're beating yourself up for that, you're making it so much worse. Like I can't tell you how many times like I sit in therapy with folks who are so hard on themselves. And that is something I will
Hmm.
point out to people. I will be like, it sounds like you're being really hard on yourself. And they're like, yeah, like, and some people are like, Yeah, like almost like think that they deserve it or think that that's the way forward or the way through. And it's actually being compassionate for yourself and embodying self-compassion, not just cognitively learning about it,
Mhm.
but like living it and practicing it. And like, I think you're doing that. I can feel it in my own body when you talk about it. And so I'm really happy to hear that and to see that embodied self-compassion for Amy's responses. And I just feel like Amy 5, 10 years ago would be so proud of you today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I always say self-compassion feels like I say uncomfortable sweater, but I think it's more like an uncomfortable pair of pants. Like you put it on and you're like, this doesn't feel right. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna feel good, even though it is compassion. Like when you can, it doesn't feel true because we're so used to beating ourselves up. Like we're so used to like coming at things from like a really like hard standpoint. Like I am incredibly hard on myself because it's been a tactic that's worked really well over the years. Like I've been able to push myself through guilt, shame, like whatever it is, being hard on myself to see results. Like that's what you like because your brain's very much all or nothing. It's like, okay, well this works. I'm going to keep doing it. But it takes a while to understand and feel and still I'm still on that journey that like you can be nice to yourself and still have desired results, like
Mhm.
whatever they may be, like in your life. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's kind of like this limiting belief that we need to be a certain way in order to get what we want. And we're like, oh,
Mhm.
wow, I can achieve the same thing with a lot of self-love, self-compassion, with a lot of gentleness as well. Also, self-compassion feeling like like an uncomfortable pair of pants. What came to mind for me was self-compassion is like an item of clothing that you don't wear often. And you're kind
Yeah.
of like, and it like fits you and it's like and maybe it is actually like comfortable and soothing but it's just like not what you're used to and so when you look at it or like feel the fabric of your skin it's like it's uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable until you notice the benefit in it or yeah. So that, yeah, anyways, that's
It yeah, another one too, another good analogy, it's like a food that tastes really, really good that you liked for such a long time, and somewhere along the line, someone told you it was bad for you, so you're just like, "I'm not gonna have that anymore," you
yeah.
know? But, like, is that true?
Reintroduce the taste buds. You got to re
Yeah.
the taste buds. Okay, can I share just like a moment of like ChatGPT and therapy and like
Mhm.
I I really mean it when I say like call your friends because like AI or ChatGPT aside, I also think with therapy culture, we've developed this belief that we have to pay someone
Mhm.
in order to share our problems or we have to pay a professional in order to like I see a lot of folks and I'm in that camp as well where I feel like such a burden to
Yeah, burden no say the word yeah.
like bothering my friend or like crying
Mhm.
to my friend or like really going through it almost like feeling like I'm using my friend as a therapist, but I'm not. Like we need and
Mhm.
we're going to get into community because we need to get into
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
this is like my point. It's like why have we started to develop this belief of like I must be paying someone
Mhm.
over $100 an hour to listen to me and I
Mhm.
have to be with a professional or like there has to be like almost this monetary reciprocity and
Mhm.
I like, I don't know like I see like a lot of limitations in that of like what about community care and what about caring for each other
Mhm.
and what about like calling your friend and like not feeling like a burden like even when Amy was like
Yeah.
yeah I had a really hard Monday so I turned to ChatGPT and I'm like pointing to myself over here it's like in these moments like why can't we pick up the phone and call people and why doesn't it feel safe to do that that people are now
Mhm.
turning to ChatGPT
Mhm.
or feeling like they need to pay for it so I just want to say like yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, I think the cornerstone of that is trust. I think there's been a major trust breakdown in our culture.
Society? Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't have a flourishing society without trust. You can't operate on, a like, a societal level, any society, any human interaction without trust. Like, we operate on trust, like, for everything.
Mhm.
Like, if and I think it comes down to we've had for a lot of us have had negative experiences, like heartbreaking situations, whether it be through friendship or partnership. And as we move in through this world and we're just bumping into each other, I think that uh, we want to stay safe. And I think a
Mhm.
safe way is like, okay, well, and especially for someone like myself, like I am so like I share everything and I speak to things. So I know that both a blessing and a curse. And so sometimes it's like, I don't want to be a burden to anybody and like
Mm.
bring them down or like
Mhm.
be always calling about my problems. And so I often like just call my parents, which sometimes helpful, sometimes not. Because they're humans. Like you can't, and I think that's the thing, you can't get all of your everything from one
For
person
sure.
or one resource. And I
Yeah.
think I think for millennials, that's been an issue with um marriage and partnership, whether it be like gay or straight, doesn't matter. There's like sometimes, and this is something like you feel such a connection with somebody that you want everything from them. And that's really tough. That's really tough. And I think our society doesn't necessarily set us up so that we can have um like different outlets and can share ourselves wholly and trustworthy amongst many people versus just one.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think those are things that are a major struggle and stuff that I even struggle with, right? And I think that that's a crux that we're running into.
Mhm.
And to kind of circle back to community, as much as I experience those emotions, I think that so many people are facing today. I think for me, my mandate has always been to be like, how can I create a space that people feel a part of something, whether it's their customer or a coach or part of our sweat exchange team or whatever it is. I truly want them to feel like they're a part of something. And I think that and they feel connected to something, whether it be somebody else or the class or themselves, like a feeling of connection. And I think that's been at the value basis of everything that we do, or at least try to do. Um, and a couple years ago, I was like going through my own issues personally. I was going through a major separation with my partner of 11 years, and I was away for the first time from the gym. And since the pandemic, everything, like I'd gone on a vacation for a wedding over Christmas, and I got really sick. I got like the flu. And I was in the bathroom dying. And I was like, you know what? If I died today, I feel like I've done my life's purpose. Like, I feel like, and that was such a wonderful feeling because, like, for me, even though the nuts and the bolts, the day to day of what I do at the gym, and it's hard work. It's like, I feel like I'm like, what am I doing? Like, sometimes, like, this is insane. Um, Olivia and I always say we have to put on our clown noses. Like we're like, here we go. Like sometimes you just like, here we are. Like, and I know that's not true, but it just sometimes feels that way. Like other 36-year-olds are major adults and lawyers and things like that, and I'm haven't had a savings account in 7 years. Like it's just like what am I doing with my life? But I ultimately that's just like fleeting because that's like the hardships of the day to day, the nuts and the bolts of it, the uncertainties of it. But really at the heart of it, like I do know that I didn't die with my song still in me. Like I did
Mhm.
what I set out to do. And it's not like I was born being like, you will open a business and it will be a spin class. Like it's finding that like gift within you and like and letting it lead you and sharing it with the world. So I think that that's like ultimately why I like my feeling around the gym in and of itself, regardless of the seasons, and why I keep doing what I'm doing. So yeah.
Can you talk more about that moment or period of time where you really followed your truth and leaned into that purpose of because I you were working
Yeah.
like Amy and I took the same program in school, creative communications. Actually, were you a PR major, public relations?
Yeah.
You were.
Well,
Okay.
because Melanie is the
Oh
the
yeah.
tits.
Yeah. I hope Melanie's listening to this. Oh my
She
God.
like I still think about Melanie and I'm like, man, and that's the gift of a good teacher. But
Totally.
like you get some of them once in a lifetime where you're like, what a majestic gift that was. And I think like, man, how many lives that woman's changed. Like, because
Can
she
you
cared. She gave a shit. And I like appreciated that. She saw something, any teacher that saw something in me because I was just so hard on myself and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like
Yeah.
I won a little quiz one time and I was like, "I've never won anything smart." And it was in her
Never
class, and
done
I feel
anything
like
smart. Oh my God. The sweetest thing.
so I was like, she's just such a gifted teacher. Anyway.
No, I love that you brought her up. I obviously love Melanie as well. And I think also just highlighting, like I love gratitude for our teachers or the people or the moments that have brought us to where we are. I think there's a lot of people so focused on like who's scoring the goals rather than like
Mhm.
every single step that brought them to score that goal in the first place, every single step
Yeah.
that led that player to being on the field. And I think that, yeah, I think that that's like that's one of my like triggers right now is like people are just so obsessed with whoever's scoring the goals and like I'm so obsessed with the people who are scoring the goals who are acknowledging everything that brought them to score that goal in the first place. And so just you kind of like acknowledging Melanie and like what a pivotal
Mhm.
role she played in your journey, I think is just it offers gratitude, it offers reciprocity, which just really speaks to my heart. And I think that's
Mhm.
also what makes you a great leader as well. Like all the
Oh,
great leaders
thanks.
I've ever met are, not only the ones who score the goals, but the ones who know exactly why they did and who hold a lot of humility when they do it. I don't know how I got on that tangent. Okay, following Kate, let's give something productive for the
Yeah.
listeners today. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I'm sure it's also fun for them. I hope it is.
Hey,
Can't wait.
that's art, baby.
Yeah, I can't wait for the
It's as
comments
much
on this
for the artist
episode. Who are
as
those
it is the receiver.
Yeah, who are those two delusional girls? Melanie's like,
Wait,
I don't know them. I actually
before
have
you
no idea.
before you talk about what you're about to talk about, don't lose it. I want to say one story before you say it.
I'm
So this
scared.
is like,
I'm so
don't
scared.
be. So
Okay,
like, I feel like this is a good time to interject because yes, we went to the same program, but we never went to school together.
right.
So you were like this young hot chick that like kind of entered onto the fitness scene, and I was like, who is this? And I was like, and I like what I can recognize about what I felt was jealousy. I was like, and I remember you ran so fast in that half marathon. I was like, how did she even do that? Like, I was like, just so jealous. And like, you were on the peripheral. And then I got invited to that LA trip. And I feel like that's obviously where I really got to know you. And the thing that really did it for me, and I will remember this for the rest of my life, and this is why I think you're just such a creature, like you're just like a majestic creature, is like you came up to me. I was standing in the airport. You put both your hands on my face.
I remember
You
this.
cradled my chin and you went, Amie, you are a star. And I was like, like, I was like, I like feel like I barely knew you. Like, I was like, who is this person? I was like, and then you had amethyst in your pocket. No,
Yeah,
pink
no, a
rose
rose quartz
quartz.
because I went through that machine and they were like, "Excuse me, ma'am, what do you have in your pocket?" And I like hand him a giant rose quartz and he's like, "Oh, a nice crystal." Yeah.
And that's why I was like, oh, this girl's like the best. And then I wanted to be your friend, but I feel like I feel like I've been chasing that ever since because I feel like everyone wants to be your friend. Like you're just like
We were
you
friends.
make
You were at
I
my
know,
wedding.
I know, but I want to be like I want to be Carson, to be honest. Like I want to be like around you all the time. Like I was like, you
See
just
that,
I know that's not
Cars?
realistic. Like I think you're just like a majestic human that like I don't know. Like there's very rare qualities in people, and I think you've got it. So as much as you called me a star, I was like, "Man, you're the star." Like, but thank you.
No, but truly, like back at ya, like you totally are a star. It's the energy you've always had. And if I could say something from like that moment in time in the airport, getting caught with the rose quartz, cradling your face, to like where we are now, I feel like that star radiance is just more embodied and more amplified than it's ever been, which doesn't surprise me at all with the path that you're on, the purpose you're fulfilling and opening the community, because I feel like that star energy that's amplified within you is like radiating throughout the community, not only the community gym, but the community in Winnipeg. And think of like that star quality, that light, it amplifies all the other lights in everybody else's heart and helps them follow like their truth and their purpose and amplify and embody their own gifts and star qualities. So I'm not surprised that yeah, like your yeah, journey and okay, sorry, can we just talk about LA for one more second? Because
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
trip, like I will never get over this trip because so Amie and I were talking Amy's basically over there being like me and Sam weren't friends. We were going to LA together. We were kind of friends. But okay, we went on a trip to LA like four girls, but if you really think about it, none of us were close friends. Like that's not an
No,
offensive thing to say. Like we
no.
all know that. Like so we're going to LA and I guess we were all like fitness instructors in the community in
Yeah.
Winnipeg. So we had like this common interest and knew who each other were. So we were like, why not go to LA and, like go to Barry's boot camp and check out the fitness scene and like get
Hmm.
turmeric lattes and eat a shitload of kale. And like that's where
Yeah.
we were at in our lives. And so that's what we were going to do. And I so appreciate you focusing on this moment between us and the airport. But I feel like another significant moment of that trip was how within at like literally an hour, maybe 2 hours after landing, throwing our shit in our Airbnb, we go to Soul Cycle. It's our first class of this fitness trip. Who do we run into? David Beckham, Usher, and then I didn't see Jay-Z, but I saw Beyonce.
Yeah.
And there was so Beyonce, Jay-Z, Usher, and David Beckham were all in this same spin class. I at the time of publishing this episode, I will share the photo of you and David Beckham because it's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life is your facial expression in our photo with David Beckham.
I thought you were gonna talk to me about like when you wanted me to put your leg back in. You were
We
like, my leg pops out, and I
Oh
had to like kind of
yeah.
put your leg back in.
I was making Amie do chiropractic adjustments on
I
me.
was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, okay.
I love that you remember that. Okay. Okay, I digress about the fit trip. I want to hear from
Mhm.
you about that moment of truth of like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm opening the community. Like I'm quitting my sorry, we were talking about Creecom, like
Yeah.
you got a like great stable career, like
Hmm.
benefits, like a lot of stability. And I think for a lot of people who are scared to follow their truth in any way, but especially in entrepreneurship, like they want to hear about the leap, they want to hear about the jump, they want to hear about like what was that moment that allowed you to follow your truth, even though it might have been really scary.
Well, just to point out a very crucial piece of information, I opened the gym, and then 9 months later, a
COVID.
global pandemic happened. So I was like, I didn't see that coming. Like, if you told me that I'd open a business, like a literal thing, where it was like, my business model is like stuffing as many people into a small, dark space as possible and heavy breathing. Like I was like, are you kidding me? Like I was like, I never even heard of a pandemic. I was like, what the fuck? Like I was more worried about like, I don't know, a recession. Like that seems normal. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was expecting like we'd all go to war. Like I don't know. Like I didn't know. Like I was like, that is like the one thing that like my business, like I couldn't like plan for or think of. I was like, we are literally hooped. So I think for me, I'll talk more about that a little bit, and then like I'll kind of work my way backwards from there. But getting the business going takes momentum. Like you need momentum. Like everything takes momentum to get the ball rolling in that direction. And so when COVID hit, I think for me what was so devastating was that it like halted that momentum. And I was like, I have to pick up all these fucking pieces again. Like, and not only did I have to do it again, I had to do it like 18 times and like with all these different types of rules. So yeah, like I think that like that was for me what was so big about opening a business is that you have so much energy and love and heart and spirit, and you harness that to like get that ball rolling. And so I think when you talk about resiliency, it's like that ability to know that like Amie in 2020 probably would want to punch Amie in 2025 in the face, because if I heard this back then, me saying it, it's that there's an endless supply of love. Like there's an endless supply of passion and energy. And just because you're not feeling it in that moment, it just might be a direction to like take a step back and relook at what that is. And so I have to remind myself of that often when I'm in the mud or in the thick of things, is that yes, I probably don't have that exact same naivety that I did when I opened the gym as I do now. Like I know more, and that makes like it's kind of like when you put your hand on an element, like you're like not going to do that again, but you kind of have to, like in a different way. So it's like, okay, well, how can I like like really get that passion going and like stoke that fire so that I can continue it, right?
Mhm.
And most people know that, like when you're in that sort of thing, like you have to do the things. That's why carrying the box is too much,
Mhm.
like is not a good like you can't do that. Like, you can't always be doing the hard thing. You got to do stuff that fills your cup. And like as soon as something doesn't fill my cup anymore, I have to take a step back and recognize that and like think about, okay, well, what does fill my cup? What is going to excite me? How do I have more of that in my day? Even though sometimes you do feel like you're on like triage survival mode
Mm.
and things. But leading up to it, like what made me decide was that I couldn't I'd been listening to so much Wayne Dyer. I wasn't unhappy in my corporate life. Um I I just knew that I felt like I didn't really have a choice. Like I just felt like this was the only option. I was like I just became more and more clear that that was like what I had to do. Like it felt like a higher calling, a purpose. And then once you make that decision, like it's like, okay, I'm all in on this now. I have to go for it. Like there's no backing out. And I think that that's sometimes where like you hear that a lot in entrepreneurship, and you hear that a lot in those types of things where it's like you make your life in a way that you can't turn back. Like I put all my money into this. Like I put all my time into this. I made this who I was. Like there's no going back. And so, so the pandemic happened. I was like, what? Like I was like, what the fuck? Like I was like, is this like a joke? Like obviously, like I like the world doesn't revolve around me. I always make that joke. I like when I was watching the Jets for the playoffs, I was teasing my boyfriend. I was like, if I watch, they'll lose. And he's like, you really think the world revolves around you? I was like, just saying. Like I was like, I have proof.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but anyway, like obviously I know, like, but it did seem like some sort of weird cosmic joke. I was like, really? Like this is like happening after all that's happened that like has led me to that moment. But we survived. We're still going. And I think that like the industry's changed so much. And I think that for some good and some bad, like I don't really think that there's like a right or wrong in anything, but it's just how it is. And I'm looking forward to like what the next steps are. So yeah.
I love how you talk about like there was no other option. Like and I can even like see it. You kind of being like, I don't know, like not pushed out of this corporate life, but like it just became like so it's kind of like that quote of when we feel, you
Mhm.
know, so tight in a like in a box or a bud that we have no choice but to bloom. Yeah.
I think that I felt that way in other jobs where I'm like, this isn't, this is bad. Like I got to get out of here. Like, or I've got to make a change or whatever. And that really felt like an intuitive emotional response. This though, like it was different. Like it was like almost like I couldn't not. Like it like instead of it being emotional and like let's go and do this, like it was drawn out over a very long period of time where I was like it's like leaving a relationship. Like it's deciding like this isn't serving me anymore. Like no one wakes up and is like I'm getting divorced.
Mhm.
Like you have to do a lot of reflection and like I think those are the hardest things to do are the ones that like we can't make it an emotional like spur of the moment
Mhm.
reaction. It's stuff that takes years and time to build to be like, okay, I got it. Like, this is it. I've got to go. I've got to do this. Right. And being very like, there's you could use emotion and heart, like intense emotion to harness those quick reactions. Cause I know I could always go out and get another job. Easy
Mhm.
peasy. But like when you're making a big life decision and a big change, like that takes time and it takes courage and it takes like it takes a higher like I think it's a higher calling, like I guess like for me it's
Mhm.
like a it feels almost like spiritual. Like it's like, okay, my heart's calling me to do this. I have to do this. And
Mhm.
sometimes those things feel like a loss or heartbreaking or whatever, like whether it be heartbreaking or good. I think everyone thinks like I like you open a business and you're like, yeah, like
Mhm.
it's not like that. Like it's like when you do that thing that you really wanted to do, it's not like yeah, it's not like an elation. Like it's not like a it's not even a piece. It's like it's just is just like this is just the way. Like it's just the way. I don't know. Can't explain it
I
any differently.
don't know what I'm going to call this episode, but like something about like hard truths and divorce,
Yeah.
as the divorce word keeps coming up a lot. And I am kidding, but like I hear I to one again, I appreciate the realness and honesty because I do think that there's this misconception or this like myth around spirituality or manifesting or following your truth that there's this, oh, that if you are, then it's going to be easy. And that is not the truth at all. It is to like amplify, like, I mean, just think about the idea of growth or expansion. In what world are those two things comfortable? You're going
No.
to go through so much
Hmm.
discomfort or heartbreak because that's what's going to expand you. Even think about literal heartbreak. That's also going to be what expands your heart when somehow, some way turn towards love, turn towards community in order to heal and to repair that. So I just appreciate your realness and authenticity for anyone listening who's following their truth because it's really not always easy, and that doesn't mean that you're off track or that you're doing something wrong. There's probably a lot of lessons and growth and wisdom and expansion in what you're doing, and just keep going and be that tenacious fucking cockroach and just
Hmm.
keep on, you know?
Yeah, I honestly feel like I might get a cockroach tattoo.
I
That
would,
would be so
by
mad.
the way, like if anyone watching the YouTube, like I love your tattoos on your arms, and
Oh, thank you.
I think you should totally get a cockroach tattoo. And also
I
that's,
actually you would okay, so you told me about Brie Melanson,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
way back in the day, so I've been following her all along, and I, like, have been slowly getting more into breath work, and she's the one I connect with the most,
Hmm.
and so I was doing one of her breath work, like, online, like, sessions, last summer, and all I could think about during the session was, like, "Why haven't I gotten more tattoos?" I obviously love tattoos, I love people with tattoos. I was like, "What is holding me back from doing it?" And, like, from September to now, I think I've probably gotten, like, 15 tattoos, like, and I've fully covered, like, both my
Love it.
arms. So I
Love
feel like it's just something like do I sometimes feel like I'm a crazy person? Like, "What am I doing?" But I feel like that's the point, like, if something is, like, calling you to do it, like, honor that and go for it because you're never gonna like, if your heart calls you to do something, it you're never gonna regret it even if it's bad, you know what I mean? Be like, "Well,
totally.
that was just what I felt
Had
like I
to
had
do
to
or had to
do."
go
Like
through to be
yeah,
who I'm meant to become.
yeah, and I was laughing today too because I like, you did ask to I asked you to be on the podcast in a particularly interesting, like, personal journey, like, I mean, I've had bouts of them the past, like, 6 years, to be honest, throughout the community, so it's funny, but I was on the phone with my boyfriend today, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing that podcast," and he's like, "Oh, man." What are you gonna say? You're gonna be like, "Oh, community, ugh," like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, "No," but, like, yeah, I mean, I feel sometimes, like, sad about things or, like, things that are hard, but, like,
Yeah.
ultimately, like, that's part of the journey, like, and it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it's bad, it's all bad. It's just like that's just part of it. And like I think that uh I don't know. I hope that if I could leave anybody with anything is that like I hope for the world that people follow what's true in their heart and like that is a process. It's not just going to come to you overnight. It's an
Mhm.
experience. Like it's trying different things. It's meeting different people. It's following like that excitement, that like flame inside of you because at some point it has gone out like in most of us. And so like
Mhm.
if you can recognize a flicker and you can like fan it and be around people that fan it and do things that feel like you're fanning that flame, and then before you know it, you can share that flame with others and it helps them reignite theirs. So to me, that's like peace. Like that's a life well lived. And that's ultimately what I want. So yeah.
That is so beautiful. And I love how you talk about, well, I call it like that ember in people's hearts, but not only do you have to
Ram Dass.
not only do you have to fan it, but you have to
Yeah.
be around other people who fan it too, and that is the importance of
Yeah.
community. And you mentioned the word. I'm aware you have to go 3 minutes ago, so I'll wrap this up. Um,
Thank you.
but just when you touched on spirituality, I guess I just want to highlight like truth and spirituality go hand in hand. And I think that in terms of amplifying people's truth and like for people to turn towards their own truth, what is your heart song? What is the song your heart
Mhm.
wants to sing? What is your path? What is your purpose? What is your truth? Like how we get in touch with that is spirituality, because
Mhm.
spirituality is about connecting with that and learning about who we are. So yeah, I know that maybe today's episode, it might not have landed in all the obvious ways of like
It never does.
life as ceremony, but for me, it
Yeah.
totally did, because that is
Yeah.
spirituality. It is truth. It's all the things that we talked about. And I felt like, and even when we talk about community and the gym, like we don't always need to explicitly say like that. Like for me, that is ceremony. And I hope on this podcast people can start to like hear that and recognize that without even explicitly saying that. And I think that ceremony is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual, and it brings people into connection. And I think that, through your classes and again, just being the light that you are radiating others, it is connecting people. And even you mentioned the very beginning of the podcast, like connection is your value. For me,
Mhm.
if I were to describe spirituality in one word, its essence is connection. And I think that also,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways,
I love that you tied that all up into a very nice bow, because I was like, there I would have no idea how to make my life as a ceremony, because if, like, you look at my, like, world right now beside me, it's, like, complete chaos, like, so it's I thrive a little bit in, like, a chaotic world, but I think that is something that, like, I'm super excited. There's an opportunity coming into, like, this next, like, chapter in humanity, is that like how do we step further into spirituality without it being like that can actually bring people together. And like to me, I think that I'm excited about that. I think that there's lots of opportunity there, and it doesn't have to be in the form of religion,
mhm,
but it can be in different forms, and like how that can become more accepted. Because on one hand you have like AI that is,
mhm,
like, I was thinking a lot about this. I'll not that this has anything to do, well, it might. AI is like, so it's striving to be perfect, but it misses the soul, like, it misses the
mhm.
soul.
It
And I
misses
asked it to make a poem, like a mantra for me, and it made me a mantra, but it was missing a word, and it was like it turned it into a JPEG, and it was, like, crooked, like, and I was like, "That." I thought it was so funny. I put it as my screensaver because it asked if I wanted a screensaver, because I was like, "This is missing soul and is, like, totally imperfect." Like, it's, like, just like a robot, like, it is this. It's like, it makes sense, but there's just something missing, and I think that as we, like, move into like the next like whatever is about to happen to society, I think that like we can come together through like we're all connected, and I say that in class, like think like the experiences that you feel are so unique to you, but the emotions and what you feel, that is shared. And to
Mhm.
me, I think about that every single day when I feel alone, or whenever I feel anyway, like humanity, what we're experiencing is so unique, so different. No one will ever experience the same thing as you, but like what you feel, how you're moving through it in emotion, that is shared. Like everyone's felt what you feel. So to me, I think that's like what connects us. And there's just like so much there that hasn't been explored. And I'm looking forward to like what that'll be in the future.
Amie, thank you so much for sharing your stories, your heartbreak, your truth, your wisdom with all of us. I'm just so grateful that we got to do this together, and I've now made you like 8 minutes late. So I love you
Okay.
so much, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Val.